Hey guys, Hamsterwheel here, and today I'm going to answer a question that I've had on my mind for some time now. You see, Classic World of Warcraft has been out for a couple of months, and it seems like the interest for this older version of World of Warcraft has all but died out. That being said though, Blizzard as of right now is only offering vanilla, and there's a fair chunk of people out there that are a bigger fan of a later version of the game like the Burning Crusade or Wrath of the Lich King. And some actually prefer some of the stuff that private servers had to offer, like higher rates, instant max level, and yes, some even preferred servers with a cash shop or played on a private server simply because it was free. I mean, you can have your opinion on that, but it doesn't take away from the fact that there was definitely a demand for that. So, with Classic out and available to the public, are private servers still worth it? Well, let's start with what I mean with private servers being worth it. What I mean is, if there are still private servers out there that despite the launch of Classic are still live, are scripted fairly well at the very least, and have a decent population so you don't feel like you're the only one playing. Of course, the very first one I had to check out was Warmane, as they have always had servers with a lot of people playing on them for years on end. And yes, I know there's quite a bit of controversy with whether the numbers on the website are actually real, but there's no denying that during my time playing there, I saw a ton of people leveling and chilling in a capital city. Of course, that was way before Classic was released, so let's see if that's still the case. So when we look at the website, we can see that in terms of development, they're still going at it, with their last update being the 21st of September 2019. Well after the launch of Classic went live, so that's a good thing. So the first server we're checking out is Outland. And when you look at the footage, you can see that this server has definitely taken a big hit because of Classic. Cities like Shatra and Orgrimmar are now pretty much empty, and a quick stroll through the lower level zones made me believe that there's barely anyone leveling a character here too. I did see the occasional group being formed in World Chat, but let's just say that that is definitely the exception. Next is their Icecrown server, a high rate Wrath of the Lich King server that has always had one thing going for it: its massive population. And to my surprise, there's an absolute ton of people to be found in capital cities like Dalaran and Orgrimmar. Not to mention World Chat being very alive with people looking for raids, weekly quests, etc. And I saw countless people still leveling in lower zones. I'm actually quite stunned. I thought that a server like this would also be heavily affected by Classic, but even after its launch, it's still completely full with people doing tons of content. Another server that has always been steady and very Blizz-like was their Lordaeron server. Unfortunately, I never played a character there, so I couldn't take a good look myself, but I know someone who put in a lot of time into his character on this server, and that person is the one and only Dodgykebaab. So I'll let him do a quick rundown of how Warmane's Lordaeron server is doing.
Thank you, Hamster. Now this is the Dodgykebaab, and in this cameo I want to talk to you about Warmane server Lordaeron. As you can see here, I'm running through Stormwind and there's plenty of people all around. There is people in global chat advertising for raids, advertising for raiding guilds. Not all of them are just spamming anal. I know what you're thinking, Russian bots literally everywhere. So what I've done is I've asked a few people here if they're Russian bots. They told me they're not, so I've got to take it at that. Then if we zoom over to Dalaran, it is like a Hillary Clinton donor party here. It is packed. There is no shortage anywhere of people on Lordaeron, and if you go to Icecrown, it's even more ram-packed. So totally healthy server, loving it. So as I hand this video back to Hamsterwheel, I'd just like to say, free Hong Kong!
And thanks for that, Dodgy. If you guys are interested in this content, you can check out the link below this video. Time to try a more modern expansion, Mr. Pandaria. And for Mr. Pandaria, there's really only one server I would suggest you play, and that is Tauri WoW, a 2x leveling rate server that when I checked it out was working great with very few bugs and glitches. Now I was a little worried going into this, as Tauri, even before Classic, always had a bit of a population problem. But when I logged in, I was pleasantly surprised. It seems like both the Horde and Alliance factions still have a couple of hundred people playing on them, World Chat is still active, and there's still a few guilds raiding here. A quick stroll through the Shine of the Two Moons, and you can see that plenty of people are still running around, though it does kinda make sense that Tauri didn't take a huge hit from Classic, as Mr. Pandaria and Classic are miles apart from each other. It has to be said that I did barely see anyone leveling in the lower level zones, so it seems like the max levels who are doing endgame stuff are definitely the ones keeping the server afloat. Next up is Chronos, and I'm going to start off with their Apollo server, formerly known as Hades, first, as this is the only server I really invested time into getting to max level and raid. And like Tauri, this server has barely taken a hit from Classic. Orgrimmar is still packed with people, world chat is super active, and people everywhere are looking for dungeons and raids. So it seems that this server has definitely survived the launch of Classic and is still going strong, which is nice to see as Dragon Soul, the last raid in Cataclysm, has already been released, so even though there's no more content to look out for, it's still very active. I even found the odd leveling player here and there, so getting dungeons going while you're leveling is probably tough, but you won't feel 100% alone should you want to invest your time into the server and level up a character. Then we take a quick peek into their vanilla server with my level 6 mage and see what we can find. Now of course this is where things will get interesting, as this is a server that is directly competing with Classic. And I'm once again a little surprised. I thought this server would have completely died out, but there's still people leveling here, and I even saw a couple of people forming dungeon groups, so apparently there's still some people doing in-game content. Of course Chronos used to have a much bigger population, so they have no doubt taken a really big hit from Classic, and this is also a Bliss-like server, which really narrows down the reason why you would play here over Classic. Despite people playing here, a quick stroll around Durotar and Orgrimmar weren't really that encouraging, as I barely bumped into any players. Though, after speaking to someone, he told me that people are slowly but surely coming back from Classic, and there's also new players rolling here. So, it seems like Chronos might actually survive the huge blow it took from Classic. After this we check out another vanilla server, but one that has been around for 10 years and has very high leveling rates, and that is Vanilla Gaming, my old raiding server. So Vanilla Gaming always had a low population, but despite that has managed to survive every single private server launch, and more impressively, also outlive most of the servers that have launched over the last 10 years. So, has it survived Classic? Well, let's take a look, shall we? And well, it seems like Classic really was the final blow that killed Vanilla Gaming. When I logged in, there were only a handful of people in Orgrimmar, and someone I knew that I bumped into confirmed that this server is now pretty much dead. Which is a bit of a shame, but then again it lasted for 10 years, which is longer than almost every other server out there, so that is impressive. Also shout out to Uncertain, who was the guy that filled me in about the state of Vanilla Gaming. After that we're checking out another direct competitor of Classic, and that is Elysium, where I still have my level 25 Undead Rogue. And when I logged into the Crossroads and did /who, I was amazed that there's still a fair bit of people that are leveling up in the Barrens. So this was a good first impression. Time to head to Orgrimmar and briefly check out if anyone's still alive there. And when I got to Orgrimmar, it didn't look too good. I did see a few people strolling around, but it's very evident that they've really dipped down in terms of their numbers these days, though a quick /who still showed around 460 people online on the Horde side, so I guess that's about 900 people in total on the evening I logged in, which still isn't too shabby. Though of course the server feels much more dead than your average Classic server. After that we go to the next server, which is the Smolder Forge server, a Burning Crusade private server with instant level 70 features, instant PvP and PvE gear, and custom quests. A very custom server that throughout the years always had a decent and steady population, so I was curious to see what it's like, and the website still has very recent updates, so that's good. Unfortunately, when I logged in, I only saw a handful of people in the mall area, and only 2 Warsong Gulch battles active. So yeah, there's still some PvP going on here, but admittedly very little. So while it's still alive, it's barely breathing as of right now. Then we go to one more vanilla server, and that is Retro WoW. Another instant 60 realm with some custom stuff like instant gear, epic gear through buying it with points or gold, and 5-man raids. And surprisingly, this server still has a decent amount of people playing on it, with instant battleground queues, Alterac Valley that's starting, and active people in the mall area. I checked the server out 1 week before Classic, and it was a complete madhouse then, so it definitely died off, but it seems that even this server is alive and trucking along quite decently, which definitely surprised me. Well, this has been quite a turn of events. I mean, I went into this video thinking that I would find nothing but empty private servers, and the only thing that would pass you by in the Barrens would be a couple of tumbleweeds. But I was wrong. It seems that a lot of private servers are still going strong, despite the hit they might have taken from Classic. Though, to be fair, the private servers that are direct competition for Blizzard, meaning the Blizz-like vanilla servers, have definitely taken the biggest hit and are not exactly packed with people. So, to answer my question, are private servers still worth it? And the answer is yes, but it really depends on what you're interested in rolling on. If you can't be bothered with Classic simply because it's not the expansion that you like, then there's definitely a couple of servers left where you can get your Burning Crusade, Wrath Lich King, or whatever fix. If you're looking for a Blizz-like vanilla server though, you're going to have to tolerate a much lower population and certain zones that feel completely empty. And at that point, you gotta ask yourself if it's worth saving $15 a month for and playing on a private server. So there you go, folks. I hope you liked this little video, and as always, I'm Hamsterwheel, and have a good one.